I am back. I'm your niche coach, Alesia Lester-Braimah. And today on Get Your Shit Together, we are going to talk about marriage and maintenance. So I was sitting here watching TV and I was watching Divorce Court. Child, that's somewhere I never want to be. But it was on and it was entertaining. And I had to turn it down. Okay. But it sparked something in me to be able to share with you all. I've been married now for 5 years. You know, there's people that has been married for 10 and 15 and 20 and 30 years, sometimes 50 years, you know. And those people, too, you know, it's a blessing to be able to maintain a marriage that long. But one thing I had to stop doing was looking at those people as marriage goals. It's not about the number. A lady told me one time that being married for 20 years, that's not a flex. A flex is being happy for 20 years. So there's some people that has been married for 20 years that only been happy for 5. There's some people that have been married like myself for 5 years that, you know, they're okay. They're doing good. They're doing the work. They're doing everything that they need to do. You know what I'm saying? All that. So it's not about the number. I used to feel bad because I would join these marriage groups and they would be married for all these years. But when you look deeper into the group and see some of the issues and the problems they were facing within their marriage, it made you want to back up and say, well, hold up, you know, those aren't the 20 years that I want to have. Those aren't the 30 years that I want to have. I still want to love them. I still want to touch him. I still want to kiss him. I still want to be in love with him. But what I need people to understand is that marriage is work. Marriage is very, very hard work. And you have to be willing to put in the time, the energy, you know, all of those things. You have to be willing to do those things. One of my biggest struggles growing up was being a listener. Now, I came from a strong Black mama, and within that strong Black household, my mother, she was the breadwinner. She was a single mom. She did everything she could for myself and my brother. So I always heard her say things like, I don't need a man. I don't have to have a man. I don't want a man. Really, she did. What she was really trying to say was, I don't want just any man. I don't want a half-ass man. I don't want a terrible relationship. But she definitely wanted someone. I know for sure she wanted someone. I just lost my mother June 7th to COVID. And I always sit back and think about, you know, did mom leave this earth with a broken heart? Did she want someone? Did she want a relationship? She would say no. If she was here right now, she'd still say no. But I think that humans, you know, you want companionship. Maintenance in a relationship is very important. Think about maintenance on your vehicle. You need to have maintenance, you know, every 6 months or every so many miles and different things like that on your vehicle so your vehicle can drive right. So it can operate to the best of its ability. So it can give you everything that you paid for. Same thing with your marriage. If you think your car needs a tune-up, you have to know that your marriage from time to time will need a tune-up also. If you think your car needs an oil change, chances are your marriage may need an oil change. You need to have these things in place because it's very, very important when you hit a bump in the road. No pun intended. You know, but when you hit a bump in the road, you have to know what to do in case of an emergency. One of the best things my husband and I could have done was seek marriage counseling before getting married. Not from one person, but 2 different people. For those of you that do not know, my husband is Nigerian. So they sometimes have different views when it comes to certain things, certain expectations and all that kind of stuff. Well, honey, again, I come from a strong Black woman, so we have different views and expectations and all of those things also. So I wanted to make sure I was respecting him, respecting his culture, and he was also respecting mine. I needed to make sure it wasn't anything crazy, over the top, or something that I couldn't deal with, or something that's just cool for right now, but it switch up later on. I needed to know how to maneuver. I needed to know these things before saying I do. So we went to my pastor, who had been my pastor for many years, and then we also went to a Nigerian pastor and marriage counselor. I'm not sure if he's a pastor, but I know for sure a marriage counselor. He and his wife, amazing people, amazing people. But it gave me a totally different outlook on marriage in a Nigerian culture. Now, I know some people like, oh my gosh, they're this, they're that, they're this, they're that. They're people just like everybody else, no different. But you have to understand that the role of a man and the role of a woman, if there is a role, is quite different. So it wasn't, I'd heard things like abuse and this and that and, all kinds of stuff. I remember people in my family would say things like, oh my goodness, you don't want to marry a Nigerian man. You don't want one of them Africans. You don't want that. They'll beat you up, or they'll do this, or they'll abuse you. And so I had to ask my family and different things. I'm like, well, shit, well, don't we have an uncle that be whooping women's ass also, and he's not African, what I'm saying? He's not Nigerian. And so, once I got to throwing those things back out there, then it was like, oh, damn. So it can happen anywhere. It's not just geared toward one group of people. At least not in my case. It's not at all. One thing that I did learn being married to my husband is that the wife is treated just as special as the mother and the daughter. Honey, the daughter probably trumps everybody, but the wife was treated very, very special. And that was very important to me. Now, being raised in that single Black home, I was never taught how to be a wife. I was taught how to be a woman. I was taught how to be a friend. I was taught how to be a daughter and, all those different things, but I was never taught how to be a wife. Well, how could mom teach me how to be a wife when she wasn't, or she was, but it was before I was born. So she didn't, so I didn't see that side of her. I didn't know those things. But what I had to realize was I need to be a listener. Being married, I think probably to any culture, you have to be a listener. I wasn't really used to listen. I never heard mama listen to anybody, especially a man. She didn't have to. She paid the cost to be the boss. So I didn't really know how to be a good listener. I was very mouthy in my previous relationships, and I would talk and I would say what I was and what I wasn't going to do because this is what I come from. I come from these things. I've been a single mom. I've raised my son all by myself all these years. What can you come in here and tell me? What can you come in here and change for me? And that's how I went into it. I went into the relationship with my neck already swinging. What I realized, though, I didn't have to. I was ready to fight, and there wasn't a fight. I was ready to go to war and battle and all these things, and there was no one to battle because the person was on my side. The person was there for me, to love me, to appreciate me, to respect me. Sometimes you become so used to disrespect that when respect comes, it comes in a form of, it make you feel like somebody is weak, or they're a punk, or they're this, or they're that. That's how I know that somebody was brought to me specifically designed for me. Because once I came into his life and once he came into my life, there was no fight. There was no bitterness. There was no making him, holding him responsible for what the last person did. It was none of those things. I didn't have anybody to argue with. I didn't have anybody to fight with. I didn't have anybody to tell what I was and what I wasn't going to do because I was never challenged in that way. I didn't get a man that was broken. I got a man that just simply got tired of getting it wrong on his own, and I got tired of getting it wrong on my own. I didn't have to build him back up. I didn't have to fix him. I didn't have to. If he was broken, he was broken in ways that I was strong. And if I was broken, I was broken. If he was broken in ways that I could handle, and vice versa. But no one had to pull from themselves to put it into the other person, if you get what I'm saying. I didn't have to worry about those things. Our little fixes was things like, you love yourself here, I'm gonna love you here. You need help here, I'm gonna help you there. It was things like that. It was none of those big leaps. It was none of those big leaps. And to me, that was like a breath of fresh air because I'd been so used to fixing. By the time I got this man, I had just built myself back up from failed relationships and failed situations and things like that. So by the time he came to me, honey, I was filled up and I was fired up. I was ready. And I wasn't going to take anything else that was coming at me in a negative way. I didn't have to. But I had to be a listener. I had to listen to the things that he said. He had to listen to the things that I said. And that's how we work. That's how we work. I don't have to talk over him, although I do. That's one thing that I really didn't get rid of completely. I like it. It's my safety, whatever. I never let it ruin our relationships, though. So I know what to say and what not to say. But I had to be a listener. I had to be able to allow this man to lead me in a positive direction. Now, I'm not crazy. You can't lead me down a dark hole and just say, okay, come with me or follow me or whatever. If shit don't look right, I'm shaking the spot. Doesn't matter. I didn't have to worry about that. I didn't have to. So I was able to allow him to be a leader and lead our family, lead our lives. I was able to allow him. I was able to respect him. Oh my goodness, respect was huge. I was able to respect him in ways that I've never respected anyone before. He hadn't given me a reason not to. And I tried in the beginning of our relationship, I tried to look for ways to run and get out and hurry up and all of those things, but I couldn't. We've been together 7 years. I checked his phone twice. Listen to me, twice in 7 years. Child, I've checked brothers' phones twice in 7 minutes. Do you hear me? Twice in 7 years. And the 2 times that I checked his phone, it was because I couldn't wrap my mind around not finding anything the first time. Still nothing. Does it make him perfect? Absolutely not. But I asked for specific things when I prayed for a husband. And I got those things. My 2 deal breakers were, you cannot cheat on me and you cannot whoop my ass. I'm too small to get my ass whooped and my feelings hurt too bad to get cheated on. So those would be my 2 things that would cause me to leave. Your 2 things might be different, but for me, it was those 2 things. Those were my deal breakers. Those were things that I have no tolerance for. And I have no tolerance for those things. Number 1, I've never been abused physically. Never. So you can't start whooping my ass now at 40. You can't do that. I would have had to been getting my ass whooped in my teens and my 20s, slightly into my 30s for it to be normal. So you can't just start out the gate now whooping my ass. That don't work. Shit, no, that's not going to work at all. I'm leaving. And I've been cheated on. I've been lied to. I've been mistreated. I've been all of those things. And I didn't like the way it felt. I never liked the way it felt. Well, I didn't like the way it felt. And so I never wanted to put myself back in that position, especially in a marriage. Now, although I'm talking to married people, I'm also talking about people that are in serious relationships. Some people don't want to be married. Some people simply want to be where they are, but just they want it safe. I get that. I'm talking to y'all too. So there were so many things that went into building our relationship, building this trust, building all those things. For people that do not know, my husband, we met in October of 2014. He proposed December of 2014. Child, I was like, I don't know what y'all do back home or whatever. He's been here about 20 years though, but I just didn't know. All I knew was it seemed like he was moving too fast for me. His words to me were, am I moving too fast or were those other men just moving too slow? Shut me all the way up. You hear me? Shut me all the way up. I had been in situations that I thought was forever and I was thinking about marriage and they were thinking about tonight. So I had to ask myself like, wow, it can't possibly take all day to recognize sunshine. And in that sense, honey, I was the goddamn sunshine because, hello, he was willing to be serious and commit to me. But I still had to take my time. We didn't get married December of 2014 just because the brother said, will you marry me? I needed to wait. And the reason why I needed to wait was because I needed to know how you act when there's a situation. My mouth can get reckless. Do you hit? Do you punch? Do you push hard? Do you shove? Do you belittle? Do you talk? Like, what do you do? How do you respond or how do you react in certain situations? I needed to know these things. That way I'm not just sitting on the edge of the bed and get knocked the hell off of it one day and didn't see it coming. I needed to know. So I prolonged the engagement just because I needed time. I needed time to kind of get to know. Because again, no one taught me how to be a wife. No one taught me how to love a man. I was taught respect and things like that. And so my father-in-law came in town. He was my father-in-law at the time. We were still dating. And he said, is your mother married? I said, no, sir. He said, is your grandmother married? I said, no, sir. He said, huh. So if your mother isn't married and your grandmother isn't married, how do you know what type of wife to be to my son? Well, damn. I didn't see that one coming. Now the woman in me was like, now who the hell is this old man talking to? But the mother, the parent in me, felt as if he was right on time. Because as parents, you want to see your children marry someone that is an equal to them. Marry someone that is good enough for them. He loved his child just like my mother and my father loved me. They love their son just as much. Hell, probably more. That's just how they are as people. So the mother sent the father to America, honey, to stay with us and to see, is she the one? Isn't that something? My mom ain't sent nobody over there to see if he was the one for me, but that's something different. That's something different. Mama gone. I can't even ask her that question. But it was crazy to me at first. And then I had to check myself, which is something that happens oftentimes in your marriage. You have to check yourself, and you have to just don't automatically assume and puff up your chest and all that kind of stuff. Think about what the person is saying before you react. Think about what this is doing think about how this may come off to that person. My husband has a built-in level of sarcasm. I do too. So we have to make sure what we are saying it's still a joke. We have to make sure that it's still a joke, because if we don't, someone's feelings can easily get hurt. The last thing I ever want to do is hurt my husband's feelings, and the last things he wants to do is hurt mine. So we have to make sure that we are still on one accord when we are talking to one another. Talking, listening, just that communication, that's very, very important. These were things that I had to learn. I didn't see these things. Mama was cussing men out left and right. Not that she had men left and right, but she would cuss out uncles, brothers, cousins. Kids. Mama didn't care. That's just what it was. So that's what I saw. And there was a part of me that felt like that's how you react when you have someone in your life. I had one good boyfriend that said, you know what? We're not going to be able to be together, because I don't understand how when I come home, we have to fight about who's wearing the pants in the relationship. I'm a man, Alesia. You're not going to talk down to me and talk crazy to me and point your finger and follow and all those kinds of things and poke my head. You're not going to do that, because you know I'm not going to do anything back. I will break your face. Child, when he said that, I knew then. Two things. Number one, we couldn't be together because sometimes I can't control this here mouth of mine. And number two, he was right. He was absolutely right. Right about being able to break my face, but also being right about he shouldn't have to come home and wonder, am I going to talk crazy or start an argument, poke his face. Now, don't get me wrong. Now, he was cheating and lying and doing all kind of stuff. He was, and he was, and he admitted it, and I found the evidence in his phone. But that still gave me no right as a woman to go behind him, poking, hitting, talking crazy, talking down. I would find your weaknesses and I would use them at you. I would throw them right at you. If you told me your mama didn't love you, child, I'm digging in. If you told me that your baby mama wasn't there for you, I'm digging in. That's not fair. Because if that brother had ever stopped and dug into me, I'd have cried these little lashes on off. So you have to be able to treat people the way that you want people to treat you. And that's something I noticed, and that's something I learned in my relationship, in my marriage. I love the fact that I don't have to puff my chest up. I love the fact that I don't have to walk around and say what I am and what I ain't gonna do. I love that. I love the fact that I could sit back and let him do what he came to do and what he was put in my life to do and be who he needs to become. My husband is a man from sunup to sundown. I am his wife from sunup to sundown, while still being a woman, a mother, a mentor, all these different things that I am. Nothing takes away from me becoming who I am. So all those fears that people were throwing at me in the beginning, I had more fears, those types of fears with people that I dated in my past. My marriage was the one place that I felt absolutely safe. Absolutely safe. And that's how it's supposed to be. To me, that's what a marriage is. Safety. Doesn't have to be financial safety or this or that, but the safety of it all, immeasurable. It's absolutely immeasurable. 7 years. Check the phone 2 times. Come on now. I don't know how many people, especially anybody that's watching this broadcast right now, can say the exact same thing. 7 years, check the phone twice. Honey, it wasn't even, I'd never seen nothing like it. I'd never seen anything like it. But I'm so grateful for it. I'm so appreciative for it. So that's why I always encourage other married couples and other couples and things like that. You have to be transparent. You have to be very open-minded. You have to be able to shut up and listen. You have to be able to communicate. You have to be able to communicate. That maintenance is important. When you take your car in, when you take your motorcycle in, whatever it is that you do, maintenance on your home, you have to think about the maintenance on your life. Think about your relationships. Think about the love. Think about all of those things. What's done in your home will reflect onto your kids. When I ask my kids, how does mommy act? How does daddy act? They mimic us. Some things we have to redirect because, again, my mouth get a little slick. So I have to make sure that the kids know it's playful. My daughter's talking to my son crazy because she hear mama talking. Was she crazy? That's not okay, though. That's not okay. Although some of it is in fun, they're kids and they don't process it the same. So you have to be careful of the way that you do things. But always make sure that the maintenance in your relationship is number one. Don't wait until problems get so big that now you want to find somebody to talk to. And stop going to go talk to friends and family and things like that. Talk to people that don't have a biased opinion of the two of you. If a lot of people in the Black community, we were not raised up on telling someone your business. Most of the time, what goes on in your home stays in your home. Well, look at our homes. Some of our homes are effed up because we didn't get help in time. We didn't seek we didn't take the necessary steps in time. So now we're dealing with the aftermath. Now we're trying to just pick up the pieces and put them back together, and they'll never go back the same. So get someone to talk to, not one-sided situations. If you got a husband that says, you know what, you go to therapy, I'm not going. Well, guess what? Y'all won't work. You guys will not work because it's a together issue, not a separate issue. It's a together issue. What the hell you look like just going to therapy and fixing you and this is that and the other and learning how to love and all that kind of stuff. And then he just sitting there not doing. You have to do the work. Yeah, focus on you. But when it comes to your marriage, it's a us. It's a us type of situation. Help him help you. Help her help you. It's very, very important. And I just want you guys to be able to explore that and understand that. I don't have all the answers. Like I said, I've been married for 12, together for 7, married for 12. But common sense is common sense. And when my husband's father asked me, how will I know? My answer was, because something has to be better than what I saw growing up. Because I didn't see it growing up. I didn't see a lot of marriages. I didn't see a lot of healthy relationships. I didn't see any of those things. So I wanted to be able to create my own amazing dynamic when it came to a marriage. And by that time, I was already in my 30s. So there were games that I had already played. There were things that I had already done. There were so many things before then. I didn't need to take it inside of my relationship. And also, you cannot marry problems away. Whatever problem is going on in your relationship or whatever problem is going on in your marriage, in relationships before you get married, they'll still be there once you jump over that broom. Once you jump over that broom in that pretty dress and spent all that money, honey, the problem is still there. You just jumped right into it together. That's all it is. So you have to nip some things in the bud before you can say I do, because if not, you marry those same situations. If there was a cheat that nobody ever got resolved or talked about or just blew over or something like that or never really addressed it, first argument in that marriage, It's coming up. Finances is a big thing in relationships. I've learned to be very, very good with money. And the reason why is because it's not just my money. It's not just my situation. I hear people say, oh, I work every day so I can do what I want to do. It don't work like that, because there's a family that needs to be taken care of. There's things inside of the home that make you a unit. My husband and I are a unit. We have a together account, separate account, other account. We got all those things. But there's nothing in my account that he can't have. There's nothing in his account that I can't have. You know? If to those that are not married yet, if you are just in relationships, or if you are just seeking a relationship, start living your life as if you're a wife. If you aspire to be one day, start living your life as if you are already someone's wife, which means clean up your act. Pay attention to things that you post on social media. Pay attention to the way that you treat people. Get your finances in order. Get your credit in order. That way you're not bringing debt and somebody else's kids and some baggage and some, you know what I'm saying? You got to get these things in order. I made sure I started working on these things so that way I didn't take these things into my marriage. I was watching a TV show one day, and that's what the lady said. She said, make room for your husband, make room for your future. And that's what I did. I never wanted my husband to marry a mess. Whoever my husband was going to be, I didn't want him to marry a mess. I wanted him to marry a woman that was simply tired of getting it wrong. That's what I wanted him to do. So there were some things within me that I had to start taking steps toward doing. Take the steps, learn the ropes, do what it is that you need to do. And I promise you, your forever will come. I promise you. I can't say a time, a date, or anything like that, but I do know for sure it comes when you least expect it. Love comes when you're not even thinking about it. Love comes in the form of so many different things. Child, I had no idea I'd be somewhere over in Africa. Not really over in Africa, but I had no idea that I'd be marrying a Nigerian man who didn't even need citizenship. Now look at that. Child, the man was already ready. He was already together. Do you hear me? I didn't have to jump through no hoops, no 90-day fiance. I didn't have to do none of those kinds of things. Child, he was already together, just sitting somewhere over there, tired of getting it wrong. Well educated. He had a job, crazy work ethic. That was it. That was it. I was working. I was self-employed. He was self-employed. You know what I'm saying? I was just a single mom. And I was tired. I was raising that teenage boy child, and I was trying to get it together. And I was just tired. And I said, you know what, Lord, whatever is for me, it's for me. Next thing I know, he pops up, you know, and I always make reference to, it just feels like he picked me up one day. It feels like he picked me up in his car one day and he never dropped me off. And I've been on the ride of my life ever since then. I have been on the ride of my life ever since then. And I appreciate it. I absolutely appreciate it. To be able to look at things through someone else's eyes and other eyes and get other input and other examples and other... I got tired of doing all the shit by myself. I got tired of doing all the work by myself. Are we perfect? Absolutely not. Are we worth it? Hell yeah. 1,000,000 times yes. And no matter how many times, if I could do it all over again, I choose him every single time. And I mean that because that was somebody who finally decided to take care of my heart. So I had no choice but to do the same in return. Okay? So I just want to talk to you guys about maintenance in your relationship. Maintenance in your marriage is super important. Don't let great things pass you by because you wait too long to get help. Okay? Don't do that. Go talk to somebody, seek therapy, seek counseling, seek all of those things. It's important. Our mothers didn't have all the answers. Our grandmothers didn't show us all the ropes. We didn't get everything that we needed. Some of us didn't have fathers there to be able to show us what the real man does. So we just had mamas that was mama and daddy all day long. Okay? So I want you guys to step out of that, step away from that, and live your best life. Continue to get your shit together in your marriage, in your life, your relationships, your parenting, all of those things. Remember, I coach the 3 Ps, the person, the professional, and the parent. The parent, the professional, and the person. So, and I can only do those things through my own experiences. So I thank you guys for sitting and listening to me for this quick moment. I got more to come. Stay tuned. Thank you for tuning in to Get Your Shit Together. I'm always here. Inbox me, hit me up. Look, check me out on Facebook, Instagram. On Facebook, I'm Alesia Lester-Braimah. Instagram, author Alesia Lester, or the Niche Coach. Also Niche Coach on Facebook. So click subscribe. Stop right now. Don't you turn this off, because I'm not done. Click subscribe so that way you don't miss these things. And go back and watch all of them. Go back and watch all the videos. I'm going to keep them coming. Keep them coming, because I want to give you guys the chance and the opportunity to be your great selves, and to just continue to uplift and motivate all my women. Men too, y'all be watching it too. I get it. Don't worry about it. I thank you guys so much. Continue to get your shit together. Take care.